IEK convention there. We have had several of these conventions, and this being the 31st, we want to know, where are we picking it up from? What should we expect from this convention that is going to be running for the next 4 or 5 days to go, and we are going to be keeping tabs on development? One to answer these particular questions more aptly is none other than the president of the IEK, that is the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, President Engineer Shama Hiteme. Thank you very much for your time.
Asante sana.
This is the 31st convention. Let's pick up from the outcomes of the 30th. That is what the deliberations that engineers, professionals, and academicians made last year to bring us to this point we find ourselves today.
All right. Thank you, Regina. A good question. Like you put it, we are having the 31st IEK International Convention, and that tells you we have had 30 more before this. 2 conventions and 28 conferences, because the last 3 years we renamed it to a convention and not a conference. The particular reason was we want to have more practical conversations. We want to have a more relaxed engagement where we have industry players, practitioners in the area of engineering practice come together, reason, and draw conclusions and way forward on issues that are affecting the socioeconomic landscape of this country. And as you aptly put it, last year we had a convention right here in Pride in Paradise. Our theme was engineering a new world. We had wonderful conversations and resolutions. Part of the outcome of that is basically looking into what the future portends to the practice of engineering. And we realize that the landscape is changing very fast. We appreciate the need to future-proof the careers of engineers through capacity building initiatives. And so as a result of that, we have an undertaking on a couple of areas for capacity building development. We have rolled out new programs to equip engineers with skills to be able to cope in the future. We have areas to do with tech, AI, machine learning, digital twin, and other concepts that are coming in to really impact infrastructure, the way we practice in engineering. And so we have really participated in ways that continue to empower and equip our members to be able to be prepared for the future of engineering practice.
Now, President, from the outcomes of last year's convention here, some issues were brought forth by members who participated here. And one was the fact that there is little financial support for research and innovation. From where you sit as an institution, how do you aim to address this?
Well, it is true. Generally in Africa, not only in Kenya, our investment in R&D, or research and development, has been wanting. And that can be seen because the more we invest in research and development, then we are able to see exploits in this area. And this is basically what has propelled some countries like the US, like Japan, and of late China. And so we have been aware of this, and especially after conversations last year. And we have continued to engage on the need, even at the national level, to set aside money for research and development, a good percentage as it were. Because what we have currently is not good for the country. We are not looking at innovations. We are not looking at cutting edge knowledge, which is permeating through our profession. And so we continue to engage the industry, we continue to engage the government, so that we can set aside good amounts of money and send our researchers into this area, because you have brilliant minds, wonderful ideas, but they need to be equipped, they need to be enabled with the resources they need to be able to at the forefront of carrying out the research that we need to continue to advance as a society. Yeah.
The youth, especially, who are undertaking engineering courses, have, decried of linkages between the university and the industry. there seems to be a gap. That's why we are having engineers study engineering but end up practicing something else. As an institution, how do you come in?
A good question, Regina. To be honest, the industry and academia must find a way of coming together, because what we prepare in the academy, we send to the industry. We have come as a society and as a professional society and created an environment for bridging the gap between academia and industry. Some of our members are in the academia, and the majority of our members are in the industry. We have had occasions where we have reviewed the curriculum in the universities and given suggestions to the academy on what we think needs to be incorporated into the curriculum so that it is relevant before we graduate our engineers to the industry. We are emphasizing on the need to be prepared so that as students leave the university, they are prepared to immediately plug in and be productive in the industry. This is very important because we know our practice has evolved. We have new ways of doing things. We have softwares, we have tech that is able to do what we were doing for 2 months in 2 days, for example. And so what we have done is that in working together with the universities, working together with the industry, engineers in practice, we give feedback to the universities on their curriculum, and we tell them, these students you're churning out and coming to us, we find they are falling short in this and this area. And the way to overcome this, please equip them in this and this area so that immediately they come out, we're able to absorb them and they're productive in our offices immediately.
Another issue that has been brought up, and since you've mentioned learning institutions, is the issue of low staffing levels when it comes to the numbers of engineers that we have. We do not have, certified professionals who can actually not only teach but also mentor engineers within this particular value chain. How are you thinking of addressing this as an institution?
Thank you very much. Our involvement in the universities goes a long way, not just what I mentioned. And this is because we're even more deliberate now to go as low as engineering student associations to make sure that they appreciate the value of professional societies. As for dons and the professors, we know for a long time we have had those who have really been in the academy for some time and they are retiring or almost retiring, and we are encouraging as much as possible young engineers, and we are working together with the professors to make sure that those teaching are also having time to practice so that what they teach really is relevant. But also more importantly, they see the reason to register and become professional engineers. If you look at some other sectors like healthcare, doctors go to the hospital in their third year. And that means from that year, they learn from the actual place they will be working for the rest of their life. In a similar manner, our advocacy efforts are that professors should be able to practice, and we have advanced and given opportunities for them to register, and we have been involved in creating capacity building sessions. We are entering into memorandum of understanding with various universities so that our interactions are more intense and deliberate, and we create opportunities for the professors to be able to advance even by registering, getting the relevant experience they need in the industry to be able to register as professional engineers, because we believe this adds value to the students when they are taught by professors who are registered professionals.
Mm-hmm. Now, just looking at a certain report that young engineers have put out there, and they have pointed out one issue, and that is stagnation, transiting from the theory to the practical, and the practical much needed to actually certify one to practice engineering. But then their argument is that it is really difficult to have projects accept you before you actually qualify. How are you working to address this?
Regina, this is a very big issue. It's actually the elephant in the room. And this comes down to opportunities for engineers, and especially in this country. It's very sad that 2 days ago I was in a meeting where we were reporting about 50% of engineers in that category being unemployed. And that means if they are unemployed, they do not have an opportunity to get hands-on experience that can lead to their registration, because by training, engineers go through their five-year training, and when they go through the 5-year training in the university and graduate, they are supposed to go through 3 years of hands-on experience where they get exposed in design, they get exposed in contract management and project supervision. Then they sit for what we call professional examination interview at Engineers Board of Kenya. Now, if you do not have the requisite experience, hands-on experience, you definitely do not have enough preparation to become a professional engineer. The question of opportunities then becomes very key in this, because if opportunities are not there for you to learn, then you miss the opportunity to become a professional engineer. The country loses. And that's why our engagement and advocacy efforts are towards creating more job opportunities. And we are raising the issues even with the public sector and the private sector. We're saying, let us have projects that are there. Let us absorb engineers through internships, through attachments, initiatives like affordable housing program. Many projects we're seeing around the country, the government rolling. We are making a case that they need to create opportunities for young engineers, graduate engineers, in internships and attachments, because then we are able to train them, we are able to expose them, because all learning and professional circles is through apprenticeship. Basically, you run from the master to become a master. And we are advocating for more opportunities to be created for young engineers, for graduate engineers. And we appreciate there is no quick solution to this, but we can be deliberate. One way of being deliberate is making sure that we do not reserve opportunities in this country for foreign engineers. When we get into doing mega projects, when we get into doing even smaller projects, we be deliberate, even setting aside a percentage of the project cost towards training young engineers. And this is what is our advocacy effort, so that we can see opportunities for these young engineers, because really they have a case when they say they do not have opportunities. We are seeing this every day. As a president, I get calls, I get messaging. Engineers want opportunities.
Now, talking about those opportunities, what percentage do you have in mind in this particular project? And have you also looked at, the public-private partnership projects? Because this is a model that is really gaining traction in the country. What percentage do you have, and are we looking at PPPs?
Thanks, Regina. Matter of fact, we do not have to relitigate this matter, because the law is clear. 40% local content is preserved. We also, under Public Procurement and Disposal Act, we also have provisions which allow for special interest groups, that is a youth, women, people living with disabilities. And so the law has provided for that. And it has provided how to monitor and make sure this is enforced through Parliament and other institutions. But, as you aptly put it, there is now movement towards public-private partnerships. We have raised this issue, and we continue to raise it, because the PPP Act is expressly under Clause 4, Subclause 2, that the projects under PPP, they work or they operate outside the PPADA Act. What does that mean? It means then the provisions for local content may be overlooked under PPP arrangements. That's a major concern, because then you look at a prospect of projects being done in this country where engineers are, local engineers or Kenyan engineers are bystanders, and they're watching as their country is constructed. As they watch, they have no say there. And so the question comes in, how will we be able to maintain this infrastructure if it is done by foreigners who come do the projects, run the infrastructure and go away? So what we're saying is that we must be deliberate and careful in these PPP arrangements to have instruments that are going to ensure that Kenyan engineers, local content, provisions are included. Because what we're saying is, if then PPP Act sets aside the PPADA Act, then we have an opportunity to run away completely, and you don't have local content included in these PPP agreements and arrangements that we have. So it's a big conversation we are raising, and we hope that we can get audience with the relevant players. Others engineers will be forced to go to court and enforce some of these requirements, because ultimately, whether you like it or not, we will pay for this infrastructure through our taxes. And we cannot be strangers in our own country. That's our conviction.
Now, I hope that's a conversation I'm sure is going to continue shaping the 4 days here.
Absolutely.
Because we also have, looking at the program, we're going to have future leaders, which is young engineers who want to make a name for themselves in this niche, profession.
Yeah.
But then, as we come to a close, you are the host for the next 4-5 days.
Yeah.
What are we looking forward to in the 31st IEK convention?
Fantastic question. The 31st IEK International Convention is happening from today, 29th October to 1st November, right here in Pride in Paradise. Our theme is industrialization for economic transformation and employment creation. As the theme captures aptly, this country needs rapid industrialization so that we can see a transformation of our economy. In the year 2015, manufacturing was contributing about 10% to the GDP. Sadly, as of last year, this had got down to about 7.6% contribution of manufacturing to GDP. Yet we have an ambitious plan by 2030 to have grown the contribution of manufacturing to GDP to be about 20%. What we are saying is, for us to get to this in the next 6 years, we need rapid industrialization, where we can create additional contribution to the GDP to be about 1 trillion Kenya shillings, and over 1 million additional jobs to be created through industrialization. We are having keynote speeches right here. We are having panel discussions right here. We are having technical papers, presentations, and exhibitions right here for these 4 days. And we are going to spark conversations around rapid industrialization for this country so that we can see how to overcome the challenges the country is going through that limits our rapid industrialization, but also come out and at the end of the day with a communique and resolutions on how to ensure that we have practical solutions that will lead to rapid industrialization, and we are going to create more job opportunities, not only for engineers, mechanical, electrical, agricultural, production, mechatronic engineers, but every other person in the supply chain, because we need financiers, we need people in the social sciences. Industrialization is very key. It is very important for this country to realize economic growth and socio-economic transformation.
Mm-hmm. There you have it. We will not belabor that particular point. We are going to be here for the next 4-5 days as we keenly focus on what are the outcomes of this particular convention, being the 31st IEK International Convention happening right here, Friday in Shanzu, Mombasa County. The outcomes at a time when engineers are saying that rapid industrialization is the key to economic, social growth, and they want to be part of that conversation. I hand you back to Broadcasting House for normal programming. I'm Regina Manyara.